that from Brian Guan? Was that from Brian Guan?
From my brother Brian. Okay, move number one. Do you all feel the spirals in that move? If you don't, you're missing the move. All right? They're very subtle. It's very easy to kind of fall into a two-dimensional version of this move because the move seems kind of flat. All right? Let me do this. I'll exaggerate a little bit. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Even though you don't do that physically, you should be doing it mentally. And you have to do it energetically. Let's do it again. So how do you do that? The first thing you have to do is shift your weight. All right? I'll exaggerate it a little bit. Up on the right, down on the left. 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 All right? It's that shifting back and forth that gets the spiral going. Look at the spirals in the book. So let's look at the arms because it's maybe visually clearest there. There's one spiral around the upper arm, one spiral around the lower arm, and one spiral around the hand. Those are not random. All right? What they're saying is you spiral the upper arm. All right? Maybe that's just a quarter of a spiral. And then the lower arm is maybe half a spiral. It's not like this, all right? Like everything's wrapped around like that. It's more subtle than that. When you drop down into the left And if you're Kevin and you're left-handed, you want to do the left-handed version, you'd be winding up on the right, right? But you're going to wind up, you're going to go down, that's winding up, and then you come up, right? It's like you're screwing down into the ground. It's winding around your leg like this. You can feel it. And then it unwinds. If you're a baseball player like Catherine, right, you wind up into that leg. You wind up, and then you unwind. Wind up. Unwind. Wind up. Unwind. Wind up. Unwind. Wind up. Unwind. This is easier to see with shoe circles, side to side circles. All right? Watch. Wind up. Unwind. Wind up. Unwind. It's a little harder to see with Lee circles, with front to back circles, because you're facing them. So you don't get the same three-dimensional view. But it's the same thing. Watch this. So it doesn't matter which dimension you're working in. It always is exactly the same principle that's going on. You wind up and then you unwind. When you get a feeling for this, then you can do it gently. Master Zhang and Master Feng would always say the same thing. You've heard it before, you'll hear it again. If I don't show you, you won't see it. If I don't exaggerate this, you're not going to be able to see it. Because I've cooked it down to a very efficient movement, like Kevin was describing earlier in the earlier class. When it gets really efficient, it's small. And you don't if you're just a beginner, you may not catch it. So Kevin might have to exaggerate what he's doing so that you can see all the different moving parts of what's going on. Just relax, just relax. And remember, wind up, unwind, 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 wind up, unwind. Everything you do in Tai Chi is actually spirals. They are not straight lines, except in that the I'll have a pencil here. Except that the axis of the spiral can be a straight line. But in order to get there, you're going to have to go in a circle. If I'm going to punch somebody, it's going to be a 180-degree spiral. Now, try this without the spiral. So instead of starting here and going to here, you just start here and go to here. Now try it again with the spiral. Now without the spiral. You can hit somebody without doing a spiral. You don't have to have the spiral in there to hit somebody. So that's not the question. The question is, how much energy are you going to get out of this? Try this and pay attention to the daimai. Wind up, hit, wind up, hit, wind up, hit. Now try it with the spiral. Wind up, hit, wind up, hit, wind up, hit. Again without the spiral. Wind up, hit, wind up, hit, wind up, hit. Now with the spiral. Wind up, hit, wind up, hit, wind up, hit. Kevin, watch this right down here. No spiral. Spiral. The secret to the hit is not in the hit. It's in the preparation for the hit. All right? So it's not the unwinding, it's the winding up that matters. If you only wind up halfway, you're only going to get half a hit out of it. All right? If you wind up all the way, then you're going to get a real hit. The wind up is yin. The hit is yang. Your yang can only be as big as your yin. So if you want a big yang, you got to create a big yin. All right? When you don't spiral, feel this in yourself when you do this. Feel this area in the back, right? I'm indicating this, but I mean the back here. Now spiral it. Oh, suddenly you go so much deeper. Oh, I'm going all the way down to my foot. My yin is so much bigger. Therefore, my yang is going to be bigger. This, when you don't spiral, you just don't get that. And you go, well, why is that? Well, it's just the way the human body is built. It's not mental, it's physical. Kevin, what do you think?
Well, I'm trying to see. You got the big movements. I can see the big one. It's the little ones where you're trying to do all that spiraling with internally, and you know, the
So
one.
what I'm not quite reading you. So what exactly are you missing?
Well, the 1 inch punch aspect of all this versus because you're doing the big wind up so we can see it. The little wind up is the harder thing for me to visualize.
Works exactly the same way. Works exactly the same way. So let's say I'm going to do a 1 inch punch, right? The punch is going to come from down here. It's a much smaller spiral, but it's exactly the same spiral. Right? Wind up, unwind. Wind up, unwind. Wind up, unwind. Wind up, unwind. It's the same thing. When you're just beginning, I wouldn't suggest using a 1 inch punch because you probably don't have a very good one. My favorite punch is when they punch into the neck and they get blocked, and then they just extend their fingers. At least it's good cinematically anyway. Catherine, does this make sense?
Yes, actually.
Good. So,
Not that I'm feeling the spirals all the time, but
yeah,
I'm
but you're
starting
getting,
to, it's in my
yeah,
head now.
good. Um, the way my teacher used to express this in English was the phrase, every movement all the way. Well, what the hell does that mean? His English was very limited. So he couldn't stop and have that big discussion like we're having right now about winding up and then hitting. So you had to stay with him for years until you understood. It's not that he was not clear about it, he was very clear, but he didn't have the language. So what you had to do is watch him physically and try to understand what it was he was doing, because he certainly could do it. All right? So when we do exercises, for instance, the Qigong exercise like this, people people in the West think that exercise is about your fists. It's not about your fists. It's about this. It's about learning to spiral. Right? You could do it without even using your fists. Just shifting your weight, spiraling. Let's work on one of the silk reeling exercises. The elbows. It's the same exercise. Everybody pays attention to the hand and the elbow. They're important, all right? But it's not really the exercise. The exercise is down here, all right? So the first thing you've got to do, just shift your weight. Put your hands down. Just shift your weight. The movement of your weight is your number one asset. And you'll notice that as you shift your weight, it's going to naturally begin to turn your waist. All right, go with it. Okay, when I turn my waist, I'm shifting my weight to the right, and I'm turning my waist a little bit to the right. My physical waist can only go so far. It's only going to move a couple of inches. But my energy waist can go much further. And that's the exercise. So my energy is going to go further here, further to the right. How far is it going to go? Well, you can, when you do the exercise, because it's repetitive, you can play with different things. One thing you can do in your mind is play with moving your energy all the way over to this hip. This elbow strike, right, is completely made by this. It's not my elbow doing it. It's not my arm doing it. It's my waist doing it. So my arm and my shoulder and everything are very relaxed. It's only at the last second that they harden up a little bit. Okay, so that's bringing the energy all the way over. But does it need to stop there? No. Why not? Because this is 360 degrees. So it can come not only out of here, it can go all the way around. So it's actually going all the way around, back over to the left hip in the back. That's 360 degrees. Watch the little white dot. You see it at the end, or it goes boom like that? What causes that to happen? You're throwing your energy around all the 360 degrees, and then the energy going into this other hip is like a ball going into a mitt. You're catching a ball, right? Pop, right? And when it does, you just release it. Catch, release. That little jiggle there is the release. You just let it go. I'm not making that happen by doing anything. I'm just catch and then release. So why are you releasing? Because a strike, whether it's with your elbow or your knee or anything, a strike is this long. It's this long, Catherine. That's it. It's over. No. You don't want to hit the guy and then stay there. Right? Boom, you're gone. Punch, I'm gone. Energetically. Yes, again. Better. Okay. All right. Now, once you start to get a feel for that, you can do these exercises very gently, but you're going all the way around your body, all the way around. I'm going to my right, but it's going all the way around my body to the left. And the other side. All right, so what am I practicing? Shifting my weight and then moving the energy all the way around my daimai, all 360 degrees, just like I'm doing this. But I'm not doing that. Instead, I'm doing this. Okay, let's do the opposite of this. Exactly the same principles. Shift your weight, turn your waist, coordinate that with the movement of your elbow. Right? So I'm coming all the way around to here, and then as I sink and come down, it goes all the way around across my back over to my right hip again. Watch. Lots of times you see people do this. They're just doing this. Nothing involved down here. So that's not the exercise. The exercise is this. Pung. Lu. On. Chi. Pung. Lu. On. Chi. When you go G, it goes all the way around the back and comes out on this side. 360 degrees. If you were really doing this to someone, that's the motion that makes it happen. It's not your arm. Your arm's not strong enough to do anything. It's your trunk. It's your trunk. It's that giant spiral. Put your weight on the right leg. Right? You should be able to do this with just one leg, but we'll put the other one down there. But just stand on your toes. All right, so they're there to give you a little balance, but that's it. What you're doing is spiraling on the right leg. Watch this foot. You see it turn? It's turning because it's turning with my waist. So if you don't get the daimai going in here, you're missing the exercise. All right? And then on the other side. All right, you lift up over the guy's arm, you hook around his arm, you sink your weight into his arm, and then you pull his arm backward. Okay, once you get that exercise, it's everywhere in the form. Maybe not in that particular configuration, There are a couple places it's that particular configuration, but similar configurations. All right? So watch. All right, watch. That's the same configuration. All right? In the first move, watch. It's the waist. It's not this. It's the movement of the waist. And the movement of the waist moves the hands. So if I want to do this very beautifully, then I just do it slowly. If you want to apply it for a martial application, you snap the waist. Well, not the hands. Catherine, does this make sense? Good.
Yes.
Watch the waist. So when folks are first learning the form, what they pay attention to is their hands and their feet. And that's okay. You've got to start somewhere. But once you start getting that, then you have to start paying attention to the trunk. Let's do the first two movements of the form. Okay, now that you know everything, we can go on to the second move. Tomorrow we'll do the second move and the third move. All right, guys, have a great day. Ciao.